All right. So yeah, welcome everyone to our Marquez community meeting. I think this one's going to be pretty exciting. We're going to talk about the 0.13 release that's due, I think, for this week. And that's going to introduce a Lineage API. So we'll walk you through, I think, some of our thought process around that. I don't think we'll be ready for a demo, but shortly after the release, we could definitely do that. And Danny could touch up, kind of elaborate a little bit more about the design and some of our thought process around that. And so what I'm going to do first is share my screen so that way I can talk about this. So this week we did a quick release. It covered two things. One was a really important bug fix around the Marquez DAG. So in our Marquez Airflow library, we extend the Marquez Airflow DAG. And what we ended up finding out is that some of the instance variables that we have for the Marquez DAG aren't serializable, or at least in some cases when you try to clear a failing DAG, you get this really crazy stack trace from Airflow in the Airflow UI. So we were able to pinpoint what the issue was. We removed all the instance variables from the DAG class, and it worked. So we thought we would do a quick release just for that bug fix. But also what made it in that release is really slimmed down versions of our Docker images for the Marquez API and Marquez Web. And I think they've been reduced by over 50%. So really, really great contribution from the community there, just to not only have a slimmed down Docker image versions for our API and Web, but also there's a lot of vulnerabilities that have been removed as well. So a nice security bonus on top of that. All right. So for the 0.13 release, I think like I said, we're gonna try to release it this week. There are just two things, I think, but this is like a big one. I don't know, this says add Lineage API like it's something minor, but this one is pretty significant because it does introduce, I think, a lot of simplifications on the UI side. And Peter, if you want to talk maybe more about what our Lineage API does for the UI and our progress there. But now you can not only, in this case, Marquez always stored the lineage model on the back end, but I think retrieving it was a bit cumbersome. So we're making that a lot easier and returning. And so if you say, give me the lineage for this job or this data set, you'll get back a graph representation of all the connected nodes. So you'll have in and out edges, you'll have metadata about the job or data set and a few other details. And then some various bug fixes as well that are going to be making it in there. And I think the one thing I didn't note, Mike, this is something you're working on, is some Spark improvements. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to cover quickly, but we can go into various parts. So if someone wanted to talk about maybe the Lineage API, or Mike, maybe some of the work you're doing with Spark, we could do that.
Yeah, I could talk about the Lineage API real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't put together a demo before the meeting, but maybe next time. But the Lineage API, so at a high level view, you're collecting a lot of data, you have a lot of jobs, and you have a lot of data sets, and you want to sort of track where that data, the full life cycle of that data, where it comes from, how what its origins are, what its destinations. So the Lineage API allows you to view the full backwards and forwards data lineage for a particular job or data set. So this is currently in the GraphQL API, so soon to be ported over to the REST API for REST clients. It returns a list of data sets and jobs, and its current, like for jobs, its current running state, and for data sets, all of the data set details. So it's a single list of nodes, and we can use it to construct a like full lineage UI from it, or you can use it in your processes to see what are the origins of that data. So, yep.
Yeah, and I think some of the interesting things is that there's no added infrastructure. So I think one of the key things for Marquez was always, I think, using Postgres or just minimizing the requirement to deploy. So I think in this case, we're just querying Postgres. So a lot of this, we're taking advantage of just some of the high level abstractions that Postgres has for the lineage query.
Yeah, we're able to resolve the entire lineage graph in a single recursive query. So it should really minimize the time to retrieve that lineage.
And Peter, I guess for you, with this added API, what does that mean for the UI going forward?
Sure. So currently, kind of with our Marquez web project, we are at the very beginning when our web application is launched. We're getting all of our jobs and all of our data sets, or at least limited to a high number. And we're stitching together Lineage on our client, meaning that if you have more jobs or more data sets than that initial query can fetch, we kind of won't be able to represent that in our current web application. So this really enables us to build a real just-in-time experience to build Lineage for arbitrarily large Marquez databases and give you a lot of depth and make the whole experience more interactive as a whole. So it will be really great for the web application.
I didn't get that.
Oh, oh yeah, you might have to repeat that, Peter.
Yeah, sorry. AI
we got it on our end.
Yeah, yeah, no need to repeat. Yeah, and so with that, yeah, so Mike, recent contributor to Marquez, yeah, but I really am excited the work that you're doing on Spark. I think you've added some facets, or in the next release of our Spark agent, maybe you could talk about a little about some of the changes and some of the features that are making it into 0.13.
Yeah, sure. Sorry. So yeah, the biggest thing I did was, I contributed a refactoring of the kind of plan traversal, so that kind of visitor pattern, broke it out into some visitor functions. So it's easier to add individual node visitors. And with that, I added some handling for JDBC and BigQuery relations. So you'll actually be able to see nodes when the your Spark application is querying from or writing to your relational database or a BigQuery database, as well as being able to link the Spark jobs to HDFS-based data sets. So whether it's on HDFS or GCS or S3. And then the other big thing that we added was output statistics. And so we have both the estimates from the logical plan on ingest. So we can see how many records that we expect to consume, as well as the number of records that are actually written and the number of bytes that are written on writes.
No, all exciting. And so those stats that are coming from Spark, I think it's using an OpenLineage facet, correct? So Julian, any updates on OpenLineage or how it relates to Marquez or anything like that?
Yeah, I was going to point out, OpenLineage is the new ingestion of metadata API that is standardized not just for Marquez, but for the whole data ecosystem. And the other thing that is happening is, and Mathieu is not able to participate to the meeting today, but he's been working on porting the existing Marquez integration in Airflow, which are using the original Marquez API to OpenLineage. And so that from now on, then we have all the integrations following the OpenLineage standard, which is a big step in enabling OpenLineage across the ecosystem.
I agree, yeah. And, with Marquez sort of long term, we do have these read and write APIs, but a lot of the write APIs that we do see for just collecting metadata, I think those will eventually, just shift over and just use the lineage endpoint that we have for OpenLineage and possibly deprecate some of those APIs. So Marquez will mainly be like a read API with ingesting OpenLineage events to kind of adopt the standard fully.
Yep.
Cool. So with that, so, you know, a lot of exciting stuff, 0.13 coming out soon, so hang tight. And I think the one thing I'll just end with briefly is that we have been getting a lot of questions about how to get started with Marquez and Airflow. So we have heard you, and we have redesigned or redone how we do the example. So this is also in a PR. It's going to be merged in this week, but it walks you through how to enable Marquez and Airflow, just like how to install the library, the environment variables, what the structure should look like, and then some example tags. And I think the more exciting part is really the troubleshooting. So go ahead and when this gets merged, give that a view. And I think this is the key part here. Just really, when we're thinking about Marquez and what power it does provide, really the troubleshooting aspect, like you modify a job, your a downstream job start failing, and how do you go about fixing that, or at least figure out what happened. So the Airflow example itself will have some updates, and we are looking for feedback. So as you go through the example, please tell us if this makes sense, and to open up some pull requests if there's some if there are things you'd like to clarify. So that's personally, I guess, all I had for the agenda. I think all we had.
I think one thing we didn't talk about is the Lineage API is available in REST and GraphQL. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a detail, but more and more Marquez has both GraphQL and REST endpoint, and all those functionalities are available in both, which makes it easier, depending on what people are used to, or to build UIs, make it easier to use.
Yeah, I think it's important to stress that because the GraphQL, I think you'll have the UI consumption, but you'll want to do things programmatically, and a REST API for Lineages would be pretty powerful, and you could build extra data tools on top of the Lineage graph if you wanted to.
Yeah, and I wanted to point it out because the people are using Marquez in two ways, right? Like one is through the UI, but also through the API to be able to script or automate things or build other tools on top of it.
So yeah, 0.13, I think a pretty exciting release.
Coming up.
Coming soon, yeah.
Any other things people wanted to talk about? Then I think you can wrap it up, Willie.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining the community meeting.
Thank you, Willie.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.